Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man Legends 2 for a bit of a belated anniversary special. This technically should have happened in October, but homework. In the last part, we got the fourth Motherlode key, and then Sarah and Gats attacked the Sulfer-Bottom. So now we actually have our final destination in mind thanks to Roll's not mother, but also mother. A lot of weird plot happened last part. However, before we head off to the final area, we actually do want to grab some stuff here in the shop. Namely, the Kevlar armor to increase our defense up to 75% of the original one. And a few buster parts just to increase our survivability. There's one I didn't get, which I believe is maxed out rapid. I just have better things to do with my buster parts, really. And this is, I believe, what I'm going to be using for the rest of the game. Theoretically, before the final boss, could have switched it up, but I didn't end up doing so. Now, story last part. We had a bunch dumped on us, including something that actually confirmed something that I slightly foreshadowed in Legends 1, and they also slightly foreshadowed thanks to Mega Man Juno. But I'll get more into the whole story stuff when we actually get to the final dungeon coming up, because if the title isn't obvious enough, we're ending the game off today. I actually expected I could get 2 more episodes out of this, but I was clearly wrong about that, wasn't I? Either way, let's head on out. Now, I actually forget if the game outright tells you to go to Nino Island aside from that little dialogue box we just saw there at the bottom before this. It's either you need to learn it from that dialogue box or data. Either way, we need to head to Calbania, back where we met Oppo and Shu and Da. I think that was 3 parts ago at this current rate.
Well, here we are. Mega Man, be careful. Please? I will.
Now, that doesn't seem like it was really worth the whole idea of a voiced cutscene for, but there are reasons for that. We're back in front of Glide Space, and there's a giant space orb here that's how we access the final dungeon. You can actually see the tip of this thing sticking out of the ground when we were first here, I believe, but you just couldn't really do anything with it. Either way, let's talk to Yuna. I see you made up your mind. Are you ready to go to Elysium? Yep.
What was that girl's name again? Roll? Yeah. She was quite worried while you were unconscious and kept asking if there was anything she could do. She looked desperate. She probably would have done anything. Anything I told her to. If she thought it would have helped to bring you back. Once I told her you were probably going to be all right, she almost started crying. You should take good care of her. She really likes you. How are we doing, Gats?
Engines are online.
I had Gats merge with the shuttle pod to repair it.
Master Trigger, hurry. Mistress Sarah will execute the carbon reinitialization program shortly.
What are you waiting for? Get in!
Yes, ma'am!
You know, I really like Roll and all the other carbons. I think they're worth preserving, even if it means destroying the system.
While this unit has reservations about destroying the system, it will do its utmost to assist you.
Well, here we are. Let's do what we came here to do. The rest will take care of itself.
So the final area's the moon. Cool. My, it's been a long time since I've been here. Hasn't changed much, though. Well, this is it. I'd go with you if I could, but seeing as this isn't my own body, I'll stay here. I'll spot for you, though, so I'll be with you in spirit, if not in body. Miss Sarah is most likely in the library, which is inside the mother area. The library contains the genetic records of the humans who built the system. Normally, the mother area can be reached by going through the master room from the center area. However, that elevator that connects directly to the center area is stopped on an upper level. That means you're going to have to go through the defense area, then go around through the side area. There should be a refractor somewhere in the defense area that can be used to power the elevator. If you can get the elevator working, you can get to the center area from the shuttle bay directly. The layout of Elysium may confuse you. Use your internal navigation system. Once you reach the library, you should find Miss Sarah. What happens next is your decision. I'll do all I can to slow Sarah down. Good luck. Alright, we're in the final area, the moon, but we got a few minor things to take care of first. Let's talk to Yuna. What is it? We can ask her some questions to reveal a bit more storyline. What do you want to know? What is Elysium? Elysium is a perfect world, created by the ancients thousands of years ago. A world of eternal youth, a world without disease, hunger, or war. Sarah and I are androids with positronic brains built to watch over and manage that world. We were called mother units. You're a purifier unit, built to seek out and eliminate aberrant units that malfunction and threaten the system. Don't you remember? Why are you using that body? Once I found a carbon on Forbidden Island. She was dying. I transferred some of the nanotechnology from my body to hers to try and heal her. She recovered, but I found that I had used too much energy and parts from my own body. I wasn't able to move anymore. In the end, I ended up borrowing her body to use as my own. Don't worry, once this is all over, I'll give her body back to her. Alright. That kind of clears some things up. I'll do a minor explanation as to what's going on when we're actually in the area, but let's also talk to Data.
Hi, Megaman. I came along too. I'd forgotten how far away from Terra Elysium is. I was worried for a while if we would make it at all. Well, this is it, Megaman. I'll help you as much as I can. Good luck.
But let's also ask him what we should do. What should I do now?
Why don't you try going to where the Master lived?
Tell me about the past.
A long, long time ago, you traveled with the Master to Terra. After the Master died, you fought to fulfill his dying wish. At first, Yuna fought against you with the rest, but as time went by, she slowly came to understand what you were trying to do. In the end, she tried to take a neutral position, neither helping you nor fighting against you. Frustrated with Yuna's decision, Sarah traveled to Terra herself to fight you. However, she wasn't able to bring her full power to bear outside of Elysium, and the two of you fought each other to a standstill, each of you expending all of your energy. Yuna took that opportunity to seal both of you away inside stasis fields.
Okay.
You're probably wondering why, when you were found, you were in a baby's body. That's because your original body was almost totally destroyed in your fight with Sarah. We had no choice but to reset all your parameters so you could heal. Although resetting a unit flushes its memory, it also restores its body to the original configuration. To make sure Sarah never found the Master's genetic code, you transferred all essential data files to me. That's why you were able to get your memory back even after being reset. Well, most of your memory anyway. Too bad you couldn't see Gramps' face when he found you, though.
Alright, that actually explains a good amount of the plot holes in the series. In kind of oddly verbose and odd to explain language, but I'll talk more about that in a second. There's a treasure chest here that's pretty important because it has a green eye in it. That is, I believe, the last development item you can find in the game. So we need to actually take that back to roll, which thankfully Yuna, if needed, can return us back to Terra, or Earth, obviously. So let's head back on into the Flutter for the last time in the series thus far, because Legends 3 didn't happen as we saw, and develop that into something. And you might be thinking, it's probably not that necessary, but if you played Legends 1, I recommend it for reasons. Green Eye and the Laser Manual make the Shining Laser. It's back and still as ridiculous. However, it costs a shitload more to upgrade all the way. For instance, in Legends 1, it cost about $8,500,000 to upgrade this thing all the way. Here, it takes, I think, a total of about 17 million. That is ridiculous. I'm still upgrading this thing partially, getting attack as high as I can, same with energy. But that's all you really need. You might want to upgrade range once, I suppose, in case you're using it against the final boss, but yeah, this thing is still ridiculous. I'm not taking it with me into the final area, mostly. I'm going through the entirety of the main part of the final area with the ground crawler, because it's my favorite special weapon otherwise. However, for the last 20 minutes or so of game, I'm bringing the Shining Laser along just to make one thing a bit faster. I won't actually be using it against the final boss, though. I'll have it with me, but I won't be using it. However, this is also our last time on the Flutter in the game, so let's take a look around it real quick. You might remember in all of the shops, general stores more accurately, there were a lot of little things you could buy, like, for instance, a comic book. They're all placed all around the flutter, namely in Mega Man and Roll's room, but they're there, and for instance, the comic book has classic Mega Man's face on it. They're nice little cosmetic things. They have some, I guess, charming dialogue to them, but the main thing I want to do now is head into Roll's room. You might remember way back in part 1, over a year ago at this point, I believe, we checked out her diary to get some information early on. Now, every single entry in her diary is there, so let's read them all. We have a lot of them to go through, though. Starting with my father. We got a dropship from Joseph in Yasianka City. The funny thing is, it looks just like the dropship my father designed all those years ago. We weren't able to talk to Joseph for too long, so I couldn't ask him anything about my father. I wonder what he knows. Off to Manda Island. It looks like the first key is in Poxa Village on Manda Island. This is our first dig in a little while, so I'm a little nervous, but I'll try my best. After all, Mega Man's depending on me. Living room restored. Thanks to Mega Man, I was able to repair the living room. Now we'll finally be able to sit down and eat again. Now all we need to do is get a new TV set. Tron Bon. It looks like that Tron, or whatever her name is, was saying bad things about me to Mega Man. I'll have to ask him about what she said later. Do I sense a little jealousy? First key. We got the first key! It's hard being a supporter, not being able to see anything, relying just on sensors. I'll have to try harder next time. I owe Mega Man that much. Next time. That's painful. Thanks to Mega Man's donations, the village of Poxa, which was destroyed by the bombs, has been rebuilt. Mega Man's such a nice person. He always helps people in trouble. I wish more people could be like him. Von Blucher's ship. We were able to get the first key to Von Blucher safely. I'm always amazed every time I see that ship of his. Maybe one day I'll be able to build my own ship like that. Got a penguin. Mega Man gave me a stuffed animal today. A penguin. I've always loved penguins, and the way they swim were like they were flying through the water. Now that I think about it, there were no penguins on Forbidden Island. I wonder why. Probably because it's an artificial island or something. Got a model. Today, Mega Man gave me a scale model of the Sulfer-Bottom. It's about 1/200th scale, and it looks just like the real thing. There are some places that could use some more detail. I'll have to touch them out later. Maybe I'll weather a little. Thanks, Mega Man. Glide. That Glide was one of the tougher opponents we've had to face. He has a base somewhere on Calbania Island. We have to go there next. I know I shouldn't worry. Mega Man can take care of himself, but still, I hope he doesn't get hurt. Got a cushion. Mega Man gave me a cushion today. I feel a little guilty. He always gives me things, and I haven't given him anything back. The cushion's soft and very comfortable. I can use it when I'm working on designs or watching TV. Thanks, Mega Man. Rescue mission. Mega Man was able to help Appo and Da rescue their sister. I never would have imagined people were living on that island. Mega Man. Mega Man walked in on me while I was in the bath. We haven't talked to each other much since then. I'm sure it was just an accident, but he did something like that last year too, now that I think about it. What if he's doing it on purpose? I don't know what I would do if he is. Oh boy. To Nino Island. Now that Glide's out of the way, we can get inside the Nino ruins. I wonder what we'll find there. Second key. We got the second key. Mega Man's gotten even stronger than I'd imagined. I'm so proud of him. Maybe I can't go with him on digs, but I can do my part by designing new weapons for him. Nino Island Caverns. Von Blucher now has the second key. I hope he appreciates it. It sounded like Mega Man had a rough time in the ruins on Nino Island. You have no idea, Roll. No idea. Every time I go near him, I can smell seawater. Ugh, gross. Teasel Bond. Now that we've defeated the bonds, we can get to the ruins on Salcata Island. I can't believe what a scoundrel Teasel is, using a priceless statue like that as a shield. Third key. We found the third key. Some of the bonds were exploring the ruins before Mega Man got inside, including Tron. I really don't like her. She always says mean things and tries to get in Mega Man's way. I wish she would just leave us alone. What next? We gave the third key to Von Blucher. Everything is going just as well as we planned, but with Mega Man on our side, that's only natural. Now there's just one key left. I wonder what will happen when we get all of them. Will they really take us to the Motherlode? I don't know. For some reason, I have a bad feeling about this. We got a letter. Mega Man got a letter from Appo and Da. I wonder if Mega Man will ever write me a letter. We live together. Why would I? Here we go. After defeating the bonds and Glide one more time, we're finally able to get inside the ruins. One more key to go. Mega Man and I both have our work cut out for us. The last key. We found the 4th key. I knew Mega Man could do it. I'm so excited. We're closer than anyone has ever gotten to the Mother Lode before. Good luck, Mega Man. Looks like Mega Man and I won't be able to see each other for a while. But I'm not scared. I know we'll see each other again soon. Good luck, Mega Man. And finally, secret. I realize now that everything I've done up until now is because I've had Mega Man by my side. I've only now realized how much I love him. I'm so happy I have him in my life. Aw, that's adorable! You know, Megatron might be a kick-ass ship name. But rock and roll for life, baby. Either way, that's all we can do on the surface. We're just heading through Elysium now. Ground crawlers all equipped. Prepare for probably one of the best songs in the game, and the final dungeon.
All right, I'll spot for you, Mega Man. I know Elysium like the back of my hand.
Yep, Yuna is doing our spotting this time around, because obviously Roll's still on Earth. And Elysium is not a very bad area, honestly. It has few unique riverbots like this guy, who I swear will only ever get destroyed if you destroy the top little option there. And its gimmick is probably one of the more interesting ones the game has had so far.
The floor's thinner in that spot. If you increase the relative gravity, you should be able to break through it.
We have a gravity gimmick, fairly similarly to what happens when you add the water into Nino Ruins, only a lot more fun. There's also these lasers. Which, well, let's just have Yuna explain them herself.
What you see in front of you is a gravity field. The relative gravity on the other side of the entrance is heavier. You should remember all this, Mega Man.
The relative gravity on one side is heavier, however, that's not exactly how it works. The moment you pass through the bars, Mega Man's gravity is switched. Not the overall gravity from one area to the other, Mega Man himself. It's more so just a gravity switch than an actual, like, this area has low gravity, this area has high. However, you can use that to either jump over certain obstacles or fall through floors like this to get some more exclusive Buster parts. And Zenny, although that's more or less useless to me at this point. However, there's also these terminals. These are how you switch gravity, but also get certain information about Elysium through the data download option. For instance, Shuttle Bay Control System. Unregistered shuttle has been detected within Shuttle Bay. Access to Shuttle Bay has been cut off. Unable to identify shuttle controller.
If you lower the relative gravity, you'll be able to jump higher than normal. If you increase the gravity, your jumping ability will be proportionately decreased. But you already knew that, didn't you? You can also use that control panel to download information about Elysium.
So that's how the gimmick's gonna work. We're gonna be looking around for these devices to switch gravity around. However, it's not like some games where you want to actually have the gravity higher at some points. Whenever you find one of those machines, just switch it to its lowest setting. Because not only is it only how you can get out of areas like that, but there are some doors that will only open if you have gravity to either standard or I believe low. Or low or I believe standard, rather, is the way I should say that. Heavy gravity is just there to impede you. There are also rooms like this where you have to kill every enemy. These are fairly dangerous areas because, hey, the traps from Sulfer-Bottom Island are back. But the main danger here is actually the floors there, because I believe those are the ones that will set you on fire, which is no good. You can't leave these areas until you kill all the enemies, so just do— Ow! Well, that was a dick move. Either way, on the whole, Elysium, which, by the way, is called Heaven in the Japanese version, is a fairly straightforward final area, and it's a better one than the main gate was in Legends 1. I have to give it that, because as much as I love Legends 1, the main gate was just a spiral that you had to go out of your way for one area and then head into the sub-ruins anyway. However, let's go over some of the story stuff, because we got a lot of plot at the end of the last part, and obviously the start of here with Yuna and Data giving us some stuff. To summarize, well, first off, let's get the data download for this thing out of the way. Defense system control. High gravity areas are marked by gravity lines. Areas off limits except for maintenance personnel. Okay. Let's start with the whole thing with Mega Man and the Master. The Master was the last true human. Now, you might remember at the end of Legends 1, Juno called the humans on the island Carbons, and they've been calling them such throughout this game, basically. Carbons are not entirely human. like, say, you and I are. They are artificial humans created at a later date by the Master's will so that the Earth could essentially be populated again. I'm not exactly sure what the genetic difference is between humans and carbons, but it's enough to the point where they get a different species name, obviously. The Master himself, being the last true human, though, he was much older than he looked in that cutscene last part. He was, at that point, thousands of years old. Elysium is where the last human stayed, and something here, I guess good life support systems, kept them alive for millennia, alongside the people of the previous system, the ancient system, like the other Megaman, androids, so on and so forth. Megaman himself here was one of the Master's guardians, Megaman Trigger, or just called Trigger. And he was known as a purifier unit. Now, they're not called purifier units in Japan. They're called something much closer to irregular hunters, which people were familiar with the X series will realize that's just the Japanese name for Maverick hunters. So he was just more, not modern, but futuristic Maverick hunter. At the end of the Master's life, he asked Megaman to take him down to Earth so that he could finally die, because he just couldn't otherwise, and he was getting kind of bored and tired of everything. However, upon his death, he actually gave Megaman a parting wish to protect the carbons, so that otherwise, because the last human was dead, Sarah, our main villain throughout the game, kind of the girl we rescued from Forbidden Island, would eliminate all the carbons. That caused a whole war to happen. Megaman got branded a Maverick of himself, essentially, and a lot of stuff went down that just caused him to go at an all-out war with Sarah, causing him to be put in a stasis field like Sarah was on Forbidden Island, eventually being found by Beryl. It's a complicated plot. Honestly, one of the bigger reasons I want Legends 3 to happen is so we can get a more in-depth explanation of some of the stuff that happened in the past in the series. Because there's so much we need to get explained to us still, I think. Like, what are the Mega Man in this series? I doubt they're anything like the ones in the ZX series. They're probably modified carbons, I suppose? But it's weird. Either way, we got another item data here. That's our last treasure map. And another data download. 80% of operating power will be diverted to carbon reinitialization program. That's a mouthful. If power diversion impacts operation, contact the Mather unit. Honestly, I like that the game went for a more complicated plot and to explain more of the stuff that Legends 1 sorta set up with Data in that last cutscene. But part of me also misses the more, not mysterious, I guess happy-go-lucky plot of Legends 1, where you're just constantly fighting the bonds and only the bonds, and then things get serious in the last 10 minutes, basically. Which, mind you, that was also a sort of tonal shift, but it's weird. Either way, these Reaver bots, are interesting in that their actions depend on what the gravity's at. If it's at 1x or 2x, they're stuck at the ground. However, if it's at half like it is now, they can stick to the ceiling. You might think I could just bypass these guys, but every time they show up, you do have to kill them because the doors around you, including the one you came through to get into enter this area in specific, is now locked. So they're essentially the mini-bosses of itself. The final boss action notwithstanding, there are no real boss fights here in Elysium. It's mostly just a lot of big Reaver bot fights. And these glass things are the things you need to have the gravity halved to jump over. This is why you should always have that gravity halved if you can. I actually forget what a lot of these buster parts do because I don't equip any of them by endgame because I honestly forget to right before the final boss. I'm sure there's a better combination than what I have going on right now, but honestly, it still works for me at the end of the day. Okay, that's just dickish. I hate these trap enemies. I really hope they never appear if Legends 3 does actually happen again. Reaverbot defense control system. And warning, intruder detected. Repeat, an intruder has been detected within Elysium. Reassigning all Reaverbots, priority defensive system and materials. I do wish maybe this had a bit of a Resident Evil thing going on in this area where you could find files more pertaining to not what's going on in Elysium right now, but like the nature of the past of Elysium, like the other humans who were possibly here and such. But we're gonna get nothing on that. Although that does actually remind me saying Elysium that many times. You might remember back when I did the bonus video for X5, I showed off the bad ending of the game where Zero dies and X doesn't have his memories. That ending mentions that X is going to try and make a society called Elysium. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Because of this, there is a partial theory that some people have that's just almost entirely unsure based on how the lore actually is, that Legends takes place on the bad ending timeline of X5, whereas the good ending leads to the Zero series. I'm more of the mindset that X attempted to make Elysium, but he ended up creating Neo Arcadia instead in the Zero series. Elysium was probably something that the people of the ZX timeline decided to make after some shit went down. Who knows? We never got to see ZX3. I hope we get to see ZX3 because, the ZX Advent stuff got a bit cliffhangery. There is something I do like about this dungeon, though, besides everything else I've praised about it, and that's that while it has a lot of unique Reaverbots to itself, it also does a good job of giving you Reaverbots you fought throughout your journey. And I like it when games can do that properly. I think Ocarina of Time actually did a really good job with that in its final dungeon. In fact, the final dungeon's probably the one thing I can say for a fact Ocarina does have over Majora, because I'm overall a Majora person. But Ganon's castle is much more final than feeling than the interior of the moon. But Majora's Mask also has that entire different atmosphere going on, and it's weird. Now, obviously, there are times like this where Ground Crawler is not too good. The main reason I actually have Ground Crawler is for the little mini spider boss fight things. And that's just because it's more damaging, really. Plain and simple. In a way, though, the spider mini-bosses remind me of, what's it called? Another Reaverbot from Legends 1. The one you fight towards the end of the very first area, actually. Not the giant one-armed first boss fight in Legends 1. The weird yellow spider bot thing you have to learn to lock onto with. That terrified me as a child because I don't think I brought it up back when I played Legends 1, but the sound effect that Reaverbot made in the first little tower area, and the sound effect the barrier that you have to kick down in the first area Legends 1 made, terrified me as a child, and I can't entirely tell why. Also, I love that Reaverbot's design. The Reaverbots in this game overall just look really cool, especially when they're not reused designs from the first game. Because the first game's Reaverbot's designs were iconic in their own way, especially the little guys, yeah. But they lacked a bit of threat factor in my eyes, except for maybe the giant wolf ones from the, I think it's the Closer Ruins, I believe. Because I'm trying to think through the Reaverbots in Legends 1. Yeah, aside from those wolf guys, I guess maybe the giant, I don't even know how to describe it, caterpillar-like one in one of the sub-ruins that you had to go through before finishing off the main gate. Yeah, that's about it off the top of my head, actually. Oh boy, more of these guys, and we do have to take them out because the door to my right when I entered this room was locked. I do think they could have maybe done with fewer of these, or maybe had you do something different, I suppose. I don't know. Because I get what they're trying to do here. They're trying to give you a unique Reaverbot that's memorable and give you a challenge, especially with the way the gravity system works. So it doesn't just influence your platforming, it has an effect on the combat. But I think there's a few too many of these guys. Just a bit. Also, while spamming that caused my editor's frame rate to shit the bed. I'm not sure if it did that in the raw file. But, yeah, frame rate's not doing too well right now on my editor. Something I also like about this area, though, is that the musical theme actually changes itself up every couple of minutes. Namely, there are like 3 or 4 points that the melody stays the same, but the music changes up a bit. And I like it when games do that. Now, if I had the Shining Laser, admittedly, this area will be going by much more quickly because, you know, pure damage output would be increased. But, again, I don't like the idea of doing that for this area because it just doesn't feel right to me for some reason. I know if I recall, I did it in Legends 1. Or at least I did it on the final boss, but it's hard to remember. Medical lab control system. All medical and related facilities are currently being readied in preparation for execution of the carbon reinitialization program. Access to medical systems by non-mother units is prohibited. Units are instructed to contact mother if maintenance is required. God, it is hard to speak. Also, we just now remembered, sorry, I mentioned at the beginning of the part we killed Gats. No, we killed Geets. I always get those two names confused because, really, they're a bit too close to each other for their own good. Now, I believe I mentioned this maybe back in Nino Ruins, but something I really have to give Legends 2 over Legends 1 is the fact that the dungeons, or at least the main storyline dungeons, are actually pretty worth a damn in the long run. Because one of my bigger complaints about Legends 2 is that while I love exploring the main ruins that go across the entire island, and the fact that all of them are connected, the main dungeon ruins always felt a bit lackluster, I suppose is the term I'm looking for. Not enough real dungeony feel to them, aside from maybe the Lake June ruins, I suppose. Whereas this game, they all feel like properly fleshed out dungeons. However, they sacrifice that by getting rid of a good amount of the exploration I loved about Legends 1. And that's a win some, you lose some kind of argument. Some people prefer it like this, some people prefer it like Legends 1. It makes me wonder if Legends 3 would have gone for an in-between with the two. Either give you some exploration to do, as well as some good linear dungeon design. Not linear, more fleshed out dungeon design, rather. Either way, that's the map. We're actually... they gave you the map a bit too late for their own good here, because we're almost done with the main dungeon part. Warp gate control system. Maintenance is required on warp gates in living area currently sealed off. Maintenance will be performed on all gates in living area after activation of the carbon reinitialization program. That goes into the second half of Elysium as a dungeon, because it's technically two gimmicks in one. We'll get to what that is in about 4 minutes, I think. Well, technically there's 3 sections to Elysium. The third one, though, is... I'll get to that. I think that's in about 15 minutes, I think. Also, I love this thing's design. Again, I love the designs of the Reaver bots in the Legend series on the whole, because there's some really interesting design ideas going on there. From here on, though, I think it's called the defense area of Elysium, is very linear from here on out, because I think it's just a straightforward path. Which, not to say it wasn't a bit of a straightforward path before, but you at least had little branches that could get you treasure chests, and there is one in this case coming up. But that's it. It's a straight path from here on. In here, though, I actually have a dialogue line I end up skipping, because in the next room, we're going to get a fairly important treasure chest that I actually recommend if you have plans to go back to the surface, you do get no matter what. Because in here is a giant refractor. All Yuna says there, hey, you got a giant refractor. I think it's just a one-line dialogue box. But you need that in order to create a shortcut back to the entrance where Yuna and Data were, and Gats for that matter, in the case you want to go back to the surface. Otherwise, you're going to need to backtrack all the way through this area, and that is tedious, to say the least. Also, I've neglected to mention it so far, but I actually really love the way Elysium looks. For some reason, it's always that kind of gray, whitish, utopian design, kind of like most Apple stores. That always just seems to work as a very intimidating, futuristic final area. Either way, welcome to the side area.
Looks like you've made it to the residential area. Does it bring back any memories?
Also known as the residential area. This is a place that got me tripped up for my first playthrough because it's pretty big. If we take a look at our map, I believe I'm doing that right now, we have to get ourselves to the center island. The way you do that is you use the warp gates on the 4 natural cardinal directions of each of these islands. However, there are true treasure chests I have to go out of my way to get, and you have to approach the main central island from the east. However, you can't reach the eastern island from the south, so you need to go around the long way. These warp gates are here to get you from one island to the other, and it's not randomized like I thought it was in your first playthrough, or at least like Lost Woodsy. If it's facing a direction, you go in that direction, plain and simple. I got stuck here for longer than I'd like to admit, despite the fact there's not many pathways you can take on your first playthrough. I do love the way this place looks, though. Because you go from that very technological, almost cold-feeling area to a very, almost welcoming kind of site, aside from the abandoned houses. It almost does make me wonder, though. At what point did Megaman go through all that with Sarah? They imply it was a long time ago, but I'm wondering how long. Thousands of years, maybe? It can't be like more than 2,000, I'm assuming, because I think Legends takes place 3,000 years after the ZX series, roughly. So there's something weird going on with timeline stuff there. Maybe if we ever do get Legends 3, we'll find out about that. Have I mentioned how much I wish Legends 3 happened enough yet? There's at least one more of those in me, though, and people who have played the game know what that one's going to be about. I played this game, not played Legends 3, obviously. There is something I always have issues telling with this area, though, and that's what the little texture at the bottom of the little background is supposed to be. I can't tell if it's supposed to be a forest or an ocean. I'm thinking it's supposed to be an ocean, but it looks like a forest to me as well. Either way, welcome to the Central Island.
That's the building where the master lived. I'll bet you probably spent a lot of your time there, didn't you?
This place is big, but there's not much to it other than that elevator to the north of us. This is what you need the giant refractor for. I believe you can also go back to the surface and sell it for extra stuff. Because now we can head back to the shuttle bay at any time we want. More or less what I'm about to do here, I believe I cut it out, is I'm going to head back to the surface, and if I can upgrade the shining laser any further, do so, and I'm also going to equip it to myself for an upcoming thing. I do like that they give you this shortcut, though. It's always, I always love it when shortcuts are well integrated like that. Either way, now that we've actually left and come back, the Central Island now actually has Reaverbots on it, the trap guys, and these guys again from Calbania, which kind of a random time to bring them back. However, let's just look at how good the shining laser is. Immediately annihilated. It also makes a much more satisfying sound than it did in Legends 1. And it also looks better in my eyes, because Legends 1, the shining laser was huge, and it looked like it hurt. In Legends 2, it has that deceiving, it's just a tiny laser, what could it, oh hey, my entire left side's gone. Kind of feeling to it. Well, you're about halfway there, Mega Man. You've done a great job so far. This was the Master's house, you know. If you leave here and go towards the back, there's an elevator that'll take you straight back to the shuttle bay. I don't know if it'll still work, but if you fix it, you can easily get back to where Yuna is. This is actually the exact same place we had that cutscene in last part. It looks like Sarah has placed a lot of guardians around the library. Keep that in mind for the next couple of minutes. But yeah, this is the place where that cutscene took place with the Master. I think Megaman was standing about 45 degrees to my right. Either way, let's head down to the mother area. Last stretch, people.
The gravity's back to normal. Are you ready? Things are going to get a little different from here on. This is it, Mega Man. Good luck.
In terms of what she means by a little different, we actually have a bit of a first here for the Legend series. We're going to be having a boss rush. Of all the major bosses we fought throughout the full island, starting off with, I think it's Gargafumi, Woji Gairon from Salcata, Ribblemenji from Kalinka, and Midosu, the weird spitting three things from Nino Island's ruins. During the Midosu fight, they also doubled the gravity back to being heavy, so be careful with that. Either way, hit the music. Funny music choice. Also, I forgot to mention, you also get 2 chests of large amounts of Zenny between after certain boss fights. And now the music is very serene but ominous. I like this musical choice, actually. The boss rush, though, nothing has really changed. It almost feels like they have less health due to the shining laser. But the boss rush is why I brought the shining laser along, just so I can make that a bit easier on my soul. Oh boy. The keys, I guess this is the carbon reinitialization program's core. Kind of cool looking, actually. Also, final data. This is the library where Sarah is waiting for you. The library contains the genetic code of the humans who built the master system. It's up to you, Megaman. Do you obey the system or destroy it? What should I do, I suppose? Your destiny awaits beyond this door, Megaman. Ain't that right? Let's also do our last save, because obviously no other points to do this afterwards. Although you can save your clear data after the final boss, but due to something I'll go over during the credits, I couldn't quite do that with this file. Let's just save over the previous save. I'm not going to be going back to Yasyanka Pad anytime soon. 10 hours. That's about the same length as Legends 1. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Well, you've made it. You've reached the library. That's where the carbon reinitialization program is executed from, and where you can stop it. Destroy the system or defend it? It's your choice, Megaman. I can't tell you what to do.
This unit will attempt to infiltrate Mother's logic circuits. There is no guarantee as to how effective such an action will be, but it should impair Mother's reaction time to some extent. This unit's powers are limited, but it shall assist you as much as possible.
The library is shielded against any and all transmissions. I won't be able to help you anymore. Good luck, Megaman.
All right, let's go. Also, very intimidating looking final door. Hello? Anybody there? I see no one. Ah, I guess there's no final boss. Cool. Ah, that looks ominous. Investigate this thing.
Execution of carbon reinitialization program has been paused, awaiting order to continue from other unit. Execution of carbon reinitialization program has been paused, awaiting order to continue from other unit.
Pause?
Execution of carbon reinitialization program has been paused, awaiting order to continue from other unit. Execution of carbon reinitialization program has been paused, awaiting order to...
I have been waiting for you, Megaman Trigger. I could have executed the carbon reinitialization program at any time, but I chose not to. Do you know why? Unlike you, I cannot act against the system. I can only act within the parameters it defines for me. Indeed, I cannot think of anything beyond the system's limits. That is why I cannot comprehend what could have motivated the Master to attempt to destroy the system. I am jealous of you. You were close to the Master. You understood his thoughts in a way I will never be able to. Yuna chose to remove herself from the system, even though she is, like myself, Mother Unit. I cannot do that. I've waited for you, whom the Master loved. Perhaps by defeating you, who is so sympathetic to the Master's desires, I can purge myself of these troublesome emotions. Come then, Megaman Trigger. Show me what a first-class purifier is capable of.
Final boss of the main timeline so far, really, is Sarah, obviously. And she has a lot more health than Mega Man Juno did. However, I think she's also a much more interesting and difficult boss. All her attacks are based off vocal cues she does after every single teleport. She also teleports after every move. Ready is a red invincible dash towards, well, not invincible, dash that you can't defend against unless you jump out of the way. Ready trigger is when she throws out, I think it's like 10 yellow energy orbs at you. When she has blue energy around her and goes ha, she's about to throw like 5 little rectangles at you like this that can be damaging. How's this is when she surrounds herself with little polyhedrons, rather, and she actually increases the gravity and does a shockwave attack you're supposed to jump over. I believe that's all the attacks, but it becomes an interesting game of keeping your ear out and recognizing the pattern that she does based off the attack. Compared to Megaman Juno, who was very much just a reaction boss, and that's all it was. Well, not reaction boss. Circle strafing boss, and that's all it was. It's a much more interesting final battle. Even though I'm more fond of Mega Man Juno's second form design than I am of Sarah's first form design. Because, yeah, final boss, more than one form, duh. She has a lot of health, which is something to keep in mind. Even with my maxed out Buster, it takes a while. Even with the Shining Laser, due to her teleporting, this fight could take a while. Make sure you have ways to restore your energy. I do not really. Because I used my energy canteen during the fight. I do have that fried chicken and picnic lunch that I got throughout the game otherwise, which are both full life restores, but beyond that, I am screwed for health in this. So I actually have to end up using both of those throughout the phases. The one annoyance I can really give this final boss over Juno is that there's a lot more phases of pure invincibility on her part, at least here during phase 1, due to her teleporting. However, at the same time, the teleporting makes her a more interesting boss, so it's net zero, really. More interesting boss with some more annoyances. That's really how it generally rolls with games, but yeah. I do wish the final boss music, especially during phase 1, was more interesting, though, because this is basically just a remix of a song we've heard, like, a ton of other times throughout the game. It is still intimidating, at the least. Also, I know I'm only bringing this up now. You might remember the 2 goddesses thing that was a bit of a religion back on Kalinka Island? Yeah, they're talking about Yuna and Sarah, just flat out. It really shows the age of these characters, I suppose, with how long they've been around in the universe, but kind of odd foreshadowing for something that only really takes place at the very beginning and the very end of the game, because in the middle of the game, when you're fighting the pirates, kind of feels like it's a distraction from the main plot stuff.
Gats is attempting to assist you by invading my internal systems. I do not understand. A servitor unit such as Gats should be unable to disobey the system's commands. Still, a mother unit like myself is superior to a servitor unit. His sabotage attempts are a distraction, nothing more. When last we struggled, you imprisoned me on Terra. Perhaps this time, it will be you who is imprisoned.
Second phase is a lot more final feeling for a final boss. In this phase, she has a lot of attacks, but in my case, in this fight, she only really uses one to start off, like the first half of her health bar. And that's where she tends to stay on top of the platform, and either glide over it, or glide over it and then start firing lasers from each one of those little gems on the bottom of her. These can be dangerous lasers, though, because they can combo you and do a good amount of damage even with my Kevlar armor. However, this attack's also probably the best one for her to have for me, because she leaves herself the most open. She still has a lot of health, but phase 2 still isn't that bad. In terms of other attacks she has this little ground pound attack, where she takes her 2 giant-ass arms and slams them on the ground. It creates a shockwave attack that also sends out some little wheels around trying to damage you. And actually, a boss in Mario Odyssey actually had a very similar attack now that I think about it. Either way, the last attack she has, which is honestly the most devastating in terms of pure damage, she'll throw a little black hole effect at some point on the platform. and that will suck you in. The entire time that's happening, she's charging up a giant laser attack that'll do about 3 full cubes of health on my health bar, maybe 4. She's actually doing this attack right now. Best way to avoid this is half healing, because I actually do not know how to avoid it straight up. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Have some healing on standby. Otherwise, this fight, if you're using the Shining Laser or other powerful weapons... Oh, that's right, she can also summon meteors, but I rarely ever see her do this attack. It's honestly probably the most devastating attack for her to use against herself, because she leaves herself open for a lot of damage. Honestly, I find the first phase of Sarah to be harder than both phases of Mega Man Juno, but phase 2 I think is easier than both forms of Mega Man Juno. Which, balance out, but this is a very climactic feeling battle. I love the background especially. Although, it makes you wonder, where exactly is this chamber supposed to be on the moon? Either way, Sarah, intimidating boss fight, very final feeling, but overall, not too bad.
Whenever the master looked at me, I detected a sadness in his eyes. The more I obeyed the system and tried to serve the master, the sadder he seemed. Now, Trigger, thanks to you, perhaps the master will also smile at me as he did at you.
Sarah!
At last, I understand. Thank you, Trigger. Thank you.
Sarah! Don't think you're going to get off that easily, Sarah. You were always too stubborn for your own good. If we have a shell, we can transfer your primary programs over, right? Gats is dead. He died because of your gamble. If you die as well, who will be left to keep me company? You can't fool me. I know you can hear me. Still going to ignore me? Then let me tell you something. Now that Elysium is no longer functioning, the old system the Master's people shut down has started to reactivate. It was your responsibility to monitor it. If you die and it takes over, the Master's work was for nothing. Do you want that?
Do you mean to say that the Elder System is becoming active again?
There are remnants of that system buried all over Terra in what the Carbons call ruins. There's so many, even I don't know how many there are. I doubt they'll be fully active soon, but eventually they will. If we don't do anything, just imagine what will happen to Terra and all its people. If the Elders and their machines activate, what will your sacrifice here have been for? What do you say, Sarah? Are you up for living with the people the Master left behind? Could be a little wild, but interesting.
Perhaps it might be worthwhile.
I can't remember the last time I saw you smile, Sarah.
I'll think about it once we figure out a way to return to Terra.
That's a very good point, Sarah. So, what are we going to do, Mega Man? If we can't get back to Terra, then I can't give Roll her mother back.
Is that the only thing you're worried about?
Don't worry, Yuna.
Why?
I know Roll. She'll come looking for us, no matter what happens.
And, ladies and gentlemen, that's Mega Man Legends 2. And what a goddamn cliffhanger! Megaman, along with Sarah, who's now in Yuna's body, and Yuna, who's still in Roll's mother's body, are all trapped on the moon. Can you see why people were pissed off that Legends 3 didn't happen? The game ends on a cliffhanger. That's actually why the old 100,000 strong for Mega Man Legends 3 Facebook page and such, that's why their subtitle is Get Me Off the Moon. Yeah, that's kind of dumb. I don't like that. Also, notice that Data wasn't there in that cutscene. Wonder where he is. Either way, Legends 2 is a game I'm conflicted on, because I think it's a much more fleshed out game in terms of the combat than Legends 1 was. However, I find Legends 1 to be a much more overall charming game than Legends 2, because I find the world a lot more interesting to explore, and I like that you can explore in general in comparison to this, because that's what Legends 2 I think is really missing out on. They improved the action, but they didn't improve the adventure part, I guess is what I'm saying. Legends 1 is a much more satisfying adventure game, where this is a better action overall. However, I do still think Legends 2 is a very fitting sequel to Legends 1. I just wish that it got the second sequel, well, technically third sequel, because Misadventures of Trombone does exist, and I'll get to that game at some point. Getting that game to work is a nightmare incarnate, you would not believe. Either way, in terms of what's up next for the Mega Man series, well, I already have something recorded that hasn't been uploaded yet, and, well, you'll see what that is eventually. And for what's next in celebratory games, I'll figure it out. That's always how it works with these. I'll figure them out later. Also, I love this credit song. It's actually an American exclusive song, too, because in the Japanese version, I believe it plays the main theme here, which is cool, I suppose. It does make me wonder, though, if Legends 3 did successfully happen, what would the story have done for Mega Man himself? Because we obviously had that Garrett guy that was going to be in some form the star. How much would you have played of Mega Man himself? How would you have helped him out? Would the goal have been to get him back, or would him getting back have just been like the first third of the game or something? Because there's that whole Elder System thing they were bringing up at the end there, and the game got a bit carried away towards the end of the plot. Either way, if you want to play this game, it's on the PlayStation, PlayStation Portable through the Collection with 1, as well as just PlayStation Network in general through Classics and Microsoft Windows. I should mention, by the way, the credits here and such, there's a cutscene coming up after the credits, and after the next cutscene, there's usually an endgame time to show you how long it took you to beat and have a clear save. I don't show off the clear save in time because this is technically, the credits here are recorded off a different file. Because when I was recording this normally, it just froze on the fade to white into the credits. I actually had to go over to my other computer and load up my old first playthrough file in order to actually record this cutscene. So, enjoy.
10 seconds to ignition. Is everything ready? Southwestern wind, speed 1 knot. Should be little to no interference. Fuel pressure stable. All workers to the shelters. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
That. Go! Keep going! Oh, that's the 10th time we've tried. Maybe we should just give up. I got all excited when I heard that what's-his-name, the monkey, came back from outer space and was going to give us ancient technology. But it just doesn't seem to live up to all the hype.
Going to the stars, a task not easily undertaken. There's bound to be difficulties.
Yes, but it looks like they're on the right track to me.
I think this system was too complex. We need to keep things simpler. That way, less things can go wrong.
But if we build it this way, it will cost too much. If we take existing parts and put them together this way... See? Just look at how much money we can save.
I think think if we modify the fuel injectors like this, it just might solve the problem.
It's really simple, really simple. If you would just listen to me, I could show you. See, look here. You stay out of this, Data.
We need to make the cargo hold smaller. We can save space and make it lighter that way.
It doesn't matter. With this new amazing engine I designed, we will have more than enough power.
Your engine? I'd believe you if your engines weren't made from spare parts and needed to be adjusted every 5 minutes.
Not everybody has tons of money to build your kind of engine.
If you don't use the proper
Sorry,
materials,
Megaman, but it looks like you might be stuck up there for a little while more.
Looks like we both got our work cut out for us.
How dare you? Anyway, I wonder how Megaman's doing.
We have to get this thing working so we can go get him.
We'll get you off. Don't worry, Mega Man. We'll get you off that moon someday. I hope. Also, how did Data get back down to Earth? They mentioned in that cutscene he did somehow, but how? Either way, that's Mega Man Legends 2, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Have a great night. Take care. Thanks for 6 years on the channel. I believe this is technically the video for. And I hope you guys stick around for many, many more. See you guys next time. Have a great night and take care. I think I already said that. I am redundant.